Good morning. This is July 25th, 2021, and we finally got some rain. And I'm going to describe to you, this purpose of this video is a before and after, and also the video will document what happens in this neighborhood when it rains for any length of time, a good pace. I'm starting. I'll see if I can go out here without getting the camera wet. But I'm going to send the architectural committee and the HOA, anybody in the HOA, AAM, the video of what takes place here. I only used to own that house. Now, I've been getting letters for working on my yard. The month of September and part of October was spent fixing a mess here. I'm going to send you a video before and after. This is the after video. Okay, as you can see, the water coming off that eave right there drops in front of the house, and it doesn't run toward the golf course. If you look off there in the distance, if you look off into the distance, we've finally been saturated. It's been raining now for almost 2 hours. And this is one of the most intense little cycles that goes through. But if you look, that's the lake in front of the house. All that water is trapped up against that patio. It can't go anywhere. Now, the video I'll send you along with this video used to have a lake. It was shot on March 13th last year. And it came down so hard that we had a lake. I have to get in out of the rain, but we had a lake in front of that air conditioning unit, and we had a lake right there, and it couldn't go anywhere. It was landlocked, trapped. I'm also going to send you video and pictures of the work I did for a month, resculpting the land between my house and that house so that the water could get off the lot. It wouldn't be trapped. You don't see a lake there anymore. This storm is almost similar. Now, what happens is, I'll show you the difference. You see that house? My house, I have gutters on both houses. Do you see rain coming off either one of these houses right in front of the patio? No. If this fella had gutters now, if he had gutters around his patio, he could route everything right there. I dug a hole over a foot deep there. I put in drainage tile from his house to my place. This little spot you're looking at, this little run from here to the golf course out between those plants, I put a drain line in there. Okay? I also got my gutters feeding drain lines that go to the golf course. Alright? I've done everything I can to keep the water off my lot, and if you look now, this out here, you see that glaze of water on that lot? Okay? We finally got saturated enough. It's been raining long enough that the land is soaked. It's saturated. It can't hold any more water. And that's where you show when you get lakes on your patio, between your patio, there's a lake between your patio and the property line, there's something wrong. Okay? There should be no standing water. There should be a slope enough to get the water off the lot. If you look down there, you see how it's soaked along there? That's because I spent 5 years resculpting all of this so that the water would flow off the lot. Now I'll back out, and we'll take you to the other side of the house and I can show you the work. Well, let's start here. Okay, here's another project. You see that little black dot there? That little black dot is a drain that runs out to the property line, to the golf course. Also, that stack coming off the gutter is another line that runs to the golf course. There's another stack on the other side of the house. All the water that comes off my patio roof does not touch the ground around my patio. It's all routed into gutters that are plumbed to the property line and the golf course. Okay? I used to have a lake here. This used to be, by this time, with this 5 or 6 years ago before I started working on it, this would have been a lake. I would have had a lake in front of my patio about 4 or 5 feet long, wide, because I had a berm. You see those piles of dirt? Those are mine. They were generated by me. That's sifted Sundance mix. But we had a berm that ran across the property, all 3 properties, and this property over here still has a berm. This property still has the berm in place. I couldn't take that out. That's why that water is clinging to the patio. You see how the water's clinging to the patio? It isn't running off. All the water now, that lake by now, if I hadn't have done the job, the work, we would have had a huge lake up here. Okay, right off the patio. I'll send you a video from March 13th, 2020, and you'll see the difference. Now, the whole time I was working, okay, let's go to the front yard. We'll start with the front yard now, and I'll show you the work I did there. Okay, I've got a little lake right here between the house, but it's nothing compared to what it used to be 7, 8 years ago. 7, 8 years ago, I'd be flooded by now. But I've got 6 years, 5 or 6 years of hard labor invested into sculpting. That little lake right there probably will never get any bigger. This is a homemade trough with a homemade stack, and that stack feeds that little lake, but I've sculpted everything, and if you see, it's running down to that little black dot, and we've got a path. The water's out, it's going off the lot into the drain. It's dry. Now I'll show you what I did on this side. If you can zoom in, I'll zoom in here on that gutter. Maybe you can see the water, the amount of water that's coming out of that gutter right there. And it's feeding this lake. Another thing I had to sculpt. I spent August, September, and October working both sides of my house. My neighbor's side and my side that I own over there to get the water off. And it's working much better. And if you see these gutters? Do you see any water coming off on the gutters? Everything's being fed into a tube. And if you can look out there at the street, the rain's sort of backed off, but the residual runoff is moving pretty good in the street. That's how much water we've had. And everything is saturated. That's why we're getting lakes here. But I'm satisfied. That's the best I can do as far as getting the water away from both houses and headed toward the street. But I had to do this. This was 3 or 4 months of my life being out here most every day with a shovel, a wheelbarrow, sifting dirt, separating dirt, laying down landscape fabric, the whole works. And I'm pretty satisfied that it works. Now I'm going to go through the garage and show you the work we did on the other side of the house that I have a video to support. And all this is going to, I hope, it's kind of dark in here. Now if I can keep the camera from getting, you see that little lake right there that's running to the sidewalk? That didn't happen before. That didn't happen before. You see the amount of water that's coming out? See the amount of water that's coming? We used to have a lake where that bush was. That bush used to sit in the middle of a lake. In the middle of a lake, landlocked. But in September, and my neighbor brought in a contractor who contoured, so now it's working. You see where the water's draining to the sidewalk where it's supposed to? It never did that. Not until this year. This neighborhood is 15, 16 years old, and for 15 or 16 years, we used to get a lake in a storm like this. And then it was landlocked. Couldn't get out. The only way it could get out off the property was absorption or evaporation. There was no path. Now it does. we can't build a lake over there. I've got a video to support that, okay? Just to let you know, and if you look at the way that water's running. Look at the amount of water that's going through that drain over there. That's the amount of water that goes through that drain. The sole drain, the only drain for 13 acres. The only drain for all of parcel 12. That river right there, you see that corner? That's 233rd lane. And it's coming down. There's probably about 2,000 foot slope uphill where the water's running down even faster than it's running here. Probably more and faster, and it's all running into one drain at the end of track day. But to the architectural committee, the courts, anybody that I get involved, a lawyer, I've been working these 2 yards. I worked them for almost 3 to 4 months every day, sifting dirt, putting down landscape, sculpting them, all right? And I didn't get one letter from the HOA. One letter. This was all tore up. My 3 front yards were tore up for over 4 or 5 months, and I didn't get one letter, all right? And if I did get a letter, it was specific, and I didn't, like with the for sale sign. They specifically said, you have a problem with your for sale sign. They even sent me a picture. But the other letters that I've got are no specific. All they're saying is you're doing something to your yard. Until you tell us what you're doing, we're going to pay you, or we're going to charge you. We don't know. We're not going to describe to you what we're having problems with. We're not going to tell you what we're having problems with on your yard. And we're not going to take a picture of it. But we're going to charge you $50 a month or $75 a month for the rest of the time you're here until you tell us what you're doing on your yard. What I'm doing and what I've been doing, this video will document, it'll validate that I have problems here. I've had problems from the start. They didn't want that golf course to be a drain for these neighborhoods. Therefore, they made the neighborhoods their own independent drains. Now I'm going to go over here to my other house. I haven't been there yet. Okay, this is lot 316, that's lot 317. In years past, before I worked on this area here and sculpted it and dug it out and protected it, we would have a lake right here. You see that brown spot, or that spot right there that's uncovered with rock? That's a drain. It goes into a 4-inch line that goes out to the property line. This comes out of my gutters. Like I said, my gutters keep any water that comes off the patio away from the patio. That's into a 3-inch line going down to the property line. What I'm trying to get across to the architectural committee is I'd have a lake here. This patio by now would be underwater. If I hadn't done this job resculpting my property, if I've been satisfied, here's a perfect example. That's a residential property that sits above the golf course. And when I talk about berms, protective berms that protects the golf course from any runoff of the lots, there you go right there. You see that lake? It's been raining now for nearly 2 hours, pretty good, and at times it comes down pretty good clip, intense. Well, that's what happens. That lake shouldn't be there. What that lake says is the golf course is being protected by that berm. See that berm? That berm goes all the way across. That berm goes from where you see those fake little birds out there. You see the fake little birds right there? That berm, take a close look at it. That berm causes the water to go backwards. It keeps the water off the golf course. All right? That used to happen here, right across my lot, and that's because my house, because my house sits 3 inches low, I used to get a lake just like that. But I diffused that time bomb. I diffused that booby trap. Okay? It took me 5 or 6 years of a monetary commitment, a physical commitment, a dedication to get this lot to drain right and to keep the water off it. I can't convince my neighbor that that is out of compliance. To think that a water is allowed to stand on a residential lot up here instead of running onto the golf course where it's supposed to go. This is the booby trap. This is how they assigned the drainage to me. Like I said, if it wasn't for that drain right there, we'd have a lake and my patio would be underwater right now. And I got video to prove it. I have video to prove it. Last year's storm. Okay? Last year's storm. And the video, if anybody wants to know what I'm doing on my lot over there, the architectural committee, there it is. There it is. I'll send you a picture. You haven't sent me a description or a picture of anything I'm doing to my lot. Everything I've done to my lot, and well, we won't go there. But this is a report. I'm tickled to tell you that everything I've done so far is working. But this was hard labor. I don't think you people on the architectural committee get down at grassroots level of trying to fix something on your own. You're willing to call in a lawyer or contractor or somebody else, some expert. I've been the expert, okay? I've had to deal with this, okay? And another thing, you see that lady's tee box right there? I'm being scrutinized by every golfer that walks onto that tee box. If they're a right-hander, they're facing my lot and my yard and my patio to scrutinize. What I'm doing over there in that corner is trying to get a little privacy. Okay? I want a little privacy. And I want a little protection. I've had numerous, time after time after time, of golf balls rolling into my yard over that corner where those palm trees are. Where those palm trees are, it was level. It was about 2 or 3 feet lower last year. And for 15 years, whenever somebody put one in my yard, like where that little red bush is, there was no even thought. It never crossed their mind that they're walking on private property. All right? They're walking on private property. I have to put up with these people walking on private property. And the reason I have to put up with them walking on private property is because they're bad golfers. They're amateur golfers. They're beginner golfers. They don't know how to play the game. That's why they're up here. That's why they're on my lot. They don't know how to play the game. And I have to put up with their mediocrity. I have to put up with mediocre golf and a golf pro shop that thinks this is normal. You should be willing to get a few balls in your yard once in a while. You should be willing to have a solar panel broken once in a while. You should be willing to have a window broken once in a while. You should be all right with a young 25-year-old moron who from 177 yards away tried to hit the green in a friggin' windstorm from the southwest. He's been hitting slices all day, so he goes back to 177, and he's not going to give in. All right, he's at war with par. He's at war with the course. He's at war with the Sundance golf course. At war with this hole. He's going to par it one way or another. Now, I want to tell you, before I end, I'm going to show you what an engineered retention basin is. It's on the map. It's on the plat map. It's on the community plans. It's on the community documents. You see that lake right there off That's a bailout area. Usually everything bails out, but that's an engineered retention area. Engineered. It's on the blueprints. They've got it measured and everything. This lot right here that I'm standing on, these 3 lots right here, this was a backroom, redneck, homegrown, hillbilly engineered retention area. 7, 8 years ago, you would have been looking at a berm right here between my house and the property line, and you would have been looking at a lake around my patio. I diffused it. I fixed it. All right, nobody wants to give me credit for it, but I did it without the help of engineering, because every time I go to engineering in Buckeye, nobody will talk to me. You've got a board or a wall down there holding business cards. You must have 50 or 60 business cards of engineers that are on the 2nd floor in Buckeye. And when I give them my name, there isn't one engineer home. Not one. Nobody can explain to me how this house got permitted to be built 3 inches low. How they handcuffed me. They gave me a swollen prostate as far as the sewer system. My sewer system got compromised. The head pressure, the gravity feed, the gravity motive force that pushes the sewage to the street got compromised by 3 inches. It's the same thing as reducing, if you got a 12-volt motor and you're trying to run it on 9-volt. Or the same thing as having a prostate problem. They sold me a house with a prostate problem. I got a swollen prostate. They reduced my urine flow right from the source to the urinal, to the end of my whatever, okay? I got a swollen prostate because this house was built 3 inches outside of compliance, all right? Now, have a nice day. Okay, it's been raining now about 2.5, 3 hours. This is a pretty good clip. It goes in cycles, intensity, but I'm showing this as a comparison. This is my house that I live in now. I put gutters on a couple of years ago. I applied to the HOA, put them on, and as you can see, no water is coming off this roof. All the water that is generated from that roof for drainage is going into that stack and through a 3-inch pipe out to the property line. Now, I'm going to walk over to the next house, and you're going to see quite a contrast. You're going to see quite a contrast as far as what happens with water coming off the roof. You can see that puddle. It's not too bad now, but it can get as wide as 18 inches. And it used to terminate at that corner before I did 2 months of work, a month and a half of work this year. But that's the difference. All that water that's coming, take a good look at that waterfall. I'll get back a little bit, get the light right, so you can see that waterfall coming off that house. That water is landlocked up against that patio. That patio right now is a sponge. That whole house, that whole lot is sponging up all the water it can possibly sponge up, because a berm was installed between the patio and the golf course lot. That line of rocks out there, it doesn't match the blueprint for the community. That line is probably 1 foot to 18 inches high all along this route. And the land behind it is high. Everything is high out there. And starting at the patio. Everything goes up from the patio. And there's like a little rise that's hard to see with your eyes. That's the mastery of the people who did this. The people who did this showed real mastery of illusion. Nobody would ever know that. You know, you wonder why. It isn't until it rains that you finally understand what's going on here. they made everything uphill. And like I said, I'm going to make I have a video for the courts and everything else of the work me and a laborer helper did in September, August and September to make a path for water out of that corner. That corner used to be a lake, and it would finally spill over. When the lake got high enough, it would finally spill over into what I had sculpted. My lot used to be like that lot. It was even worse. Where that bush was, from the patio to the bush, was uphill. It was uphill. They had a berm where those two bushes are, was the berm that separated, that kept the water from the property line. It was always trapped up here. That is why this patio used to go underwater in a storm. If it was like I said on the other video, 7 or 8 years ago, that patio right now would have a moat around it because the water couldn't get out. And it would never get out because it can't get to the property line because of the berm that was installed across it. I defeated that berm. I brought in I paid a guy that moves dirt and disposes of dirt. I paid him $3,000, and he hauled off about 100 yards of dirt off these 2 yards. Put them in a truck and took the dirt someplace. But that's how much dirt, how much soil they put on these yards to build the berm. And now, if I still owned that house, I'd do the same. I'd get back down to the right line. That line of rocks right there is probably 12 inches, like I said, 12 to 18 inches high along its whole route. And that means that land behind it is 12 to 18 inches high. It defends the golf course. It was meant to be that way. It didn't come off the drawing board that way, but when the plan got out here, as far as having that golf course as a sacrificial skid plate in a storm for these lots, that wasn't ever going to happen. But this video adds to the other one. I thought it'd be done raining by now. This is a real good rain. This is one of the longest rains we probably had in 2 or 3 years here, where it's just been raining now for almost 3 hours. And like I said again, the ground's getting so saturated. There's the lake that forms on my neighbor's lot. Okay, that water's not going anywhere. It's never going to run on to the golf course. Okay, it's going to sit there, and when the rain slows down, it's going to sit and soak into the dirt, okay, into the lot. And right now, whenever you see a lake, is when the rain gets ahead of the absorption rate, you pour a lake. But when it stops raining, all that water right there that's in retention, that's retention. The water can't get out. Comprende? The water can't get out. It's stuck on the lot, okay? And again, this drain is doing its job. 7 years ago, I would have had a lake back to that air conditioning unit. I would have had a lake back to that air conditioning unit right there 7 years ago if I hadn't done the work. I got videos to back all this up. All the work I've done. And why I've done it. But there you go. This is a good rainstorm. A real good soaking. But like I said, that lake, Jeff, if you're out there listening, this ain't right, dude. That water should be running off your lot, buddy, onto the golf course. Here, you're retaining it all. It's on your lot forever and ever to soak in, get under your foundation, cause termites, whatever. Good morning. This is Friday morning. I think the 31st of July 2021. The reason I'm up on this roof right now and the reason for this video is This is for the buyers who closed the house yesterday. I'm standing on the patio roof of the house. I want to give you a little rundown. You requested pictures of the cabinet, so I'm going to give you a video that I'm going to try to be as specific as I can to all the things I did to this house. But I do this in goodwill. As disclosure. It's a turnover, like if I was doing a job and you were to relieve me, you're relieving me with some of the jobs in this house. I'm turning over to you what I've done so far so that you will know. First of all, let's start with this monster of an antenna here. Alright, it's hard for me to see out here. Alright, that antenna, I have a letter from the HOA, a letter of permission. It's been there probably going on 9 to 10 years. The reason I have it is South Mountain, which is over there. I got the camera pointed, it's about 29-30 miles away. Has all the antennas for the whole Phoenix Valley of the Sun. All the antennas are on South Mountain, and that's pointed right at South Mountain. So I don't have cable. I haven't had cable hooked up to this house for probably 8 to 9 years. I've just been going with antenna, and it works great. And I have an HOA permission letter to have it there. You can take it down if it's an eyesore, if you don't like it, if you're never going to use antenna, and you're always going to go to cable, you can take it down. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's yours anyway. That's what you bought. Alright, now I want to take you over and show you this. This roof right here, I'm sure you know, but it should have a coat. I've put about 1 or 2 coats on this roof of this white roof treatment, and I did that roof right there, and I talked my neighbor into doing that small roof there when he first moved in. The second neighbor, there's 3 up there. It's been 3 people bought there so far, but the first neighbor bought it and turned it over without ever doing anything to the roof. The new neighbor came in and saw what I had done to my roof, so he did it to his roof. That roof right there, I sold that house about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think it leaks, but it hasn't had anybody, nobody's done anything to it. Now this roof right here, I've probably got 1 or 2 coats because I figure it pays off. You got solar panels right here, a solar display. The more white you can put on this roof, the more sunlight that's going to get reflected into those panels. And you're also protecting the roof. So this roof probably has 2 or 3 coats, and I'm sure you're probably going to want to put another one. Another thing about this roof that this roof has, a lot of patio roofs don't, is a gutter system. Okay, I got a gutter system. There's where it goes in, and it's always a good idea to keep these clean. Before any rainstorm get up, make sure these gutters are all clean, no birds nest in them. But that keeps the water off the patio. You saw the video, if you saw the video of the storm last week where my neighbor's patio over there doesn't have gutters. I sold that house before I was thinking of gutters, but as soon as I found out what had happened. Now that wet spot, that dark spot right there at the corner of that column, that used to be a lake. But I spent August, September, October working all this yard from the street, the sidewalk, all the way down to that white post. Everything has been reworked. All the rock has come up. We sculpted the lands to drains. The water couldn't get out of that corner up to that point for years and years whenever it rained. Instead of the water coming and going into a drain and then into a pipe and onto the golf course like it's supposed to, the water comes off and it sits in front. I persuaded the neighbor to let me, he even paid for some of the supplies, to let me dig a drainage line and install a drainage line from that column right there over to where I had done work years previously. I've got a drain right there. It's like a cob job drain, but now the water can get out. There used to be a lake from that air conditioning unit out to about 4 feet and about 5 feet wide from the patio, just one big lake. There was another big lake where that bush is. That bush used to sit right in the middle of a big lake. They had graded it so the water couldn't get off the lot. All right, what that means when the water can't get off the lot, and when we have a storm that's like 4 days long and none of the water can ever get off the lot, that means you're going to have termite pipes hanging from the ceiling within 2 weeks. All right. And it destabilizes the foundation of the house. It rots the cement. But getting here, I want to show you this display here. This is a 3.2 kilowatt. I was showing you on the water heater the other day. I showed you the water heater. These are the panels. What I did is I took 2 panels, bolted them together. And these 2 panels, that's about 80-90 watts of solar right there. And then I got like battery cable wires going from there, and I showed you where it went into the top of the water heater. But those that are the for the water heater, and I'll show you they're sealed up pretty good. I did a good job. I'll put the camera down there. If you can see, you see that blue cable? It's all sealed. It'll never leak. It's not going to leak. This is a pretty good system, and it's been working now. I've probably had that working for about 6 years. I did it right after I put in this display. Now, to tell you the history of this solar, that house, this house, and that house were all installed at the same time. Each house was $15,000 plus to install it to where I owned it. I didn't lease it, I had it owned. And all 3 systems are exactly alike. They don't look alike because that display over there, they took 4 panels on the bottom row and they moved them down. That's a lot more roof to deal with as far as these roofs. So they were able to, and because of the stacks over there, they had to move the 4 that would be on the end up there down. But as you can see, I have maintained these roofs. These roofs, you could put another white coat on here with no problem. All you got to do is make sure that the roof has been pressure washed clean so that the stuff sticks. Because if you don't clean it and you put it down, you're going to have peeling and cracking and everything because it didn't bond. But I want to show you this panel. You can see it. Alright, there it is. You see that panel? What that is an 8x10 piece of glass out of a $2 frame from Goodwill. Underneath that glass was a hole that's about 5 inches in diameter. If you look real close, see how this panel is nice and shiny? Has a nice shiny thing to it, no cracks. Look at this one. You see that? It's like a broken windshield. Well, the solar's working. But my challenge was to keep the water out. Even though it took a hell of a shot, it broke the seal that's on the panel. I took some RTV, climbed up there with some RTV. I filled that hole that the golf ball had made with RTV, and as much as I could, and then I pushed the thing down over it, and sealed the edges so that it's not leaking and it works. But if it gets hit with another golf ball, that's a $700 replacement. Okay, I haven't replaced it. You might want to, because if you have an inspection, somebody will come up here and go, what's wrong with that panel? And that's about a $700 replacement for that panel right there. Okay, and I'm letting you know. And I also want to let you know, you see all this? I'll get over here where the light's different. You see all that netting? All that netting? You see all that hardware where the netting is? If you look real close, right there, there's a stainless steel piece of safety wire. It goes around the bottom of all these stanchions. I had to bolt these stanchions out of angle iron to the corners, and then through the bottom holes I strung this safety wire that goes completely around. It makes a complete circumference around this whole display. And I anchored it and tightened it and tensioned it with somewhere in this circumference is a turnbuckle where it's all tight. But as you can see, I put this plastic netting there, and then I've got it tie wrapped down here, and it's all rotted. Somebody should go through there. But we had to get the pigeons out. For about the first 2 years that they were, the solar system was installed, what I built was a carport for pigeons. They were everywhere, and if you can see, there's one that snuck in there and they're dead. So you're probably going to get that out. Or you can come somebody have reworked this, but you have to do that. Here it's broken away. You can see right here is the wire, but those tie wraps rot. They sun rot. This has been here probably 6 or 7 years that I did this, but we don't have pigeon problems. Okay, underneath the panels. I did that to all 3 houses. Imagine the job that was. All 3 had that job done, and I did it. So, what do I got left to talk about here? What you're looking at off in the distance is West Valley's Abrazo unit at Watson Road and I-10 in Buckeye. They got a helicopter pad. It's a triage unit, kind of an emergency. It's like 200 yards, 250 yards from the front door of the house. I've used it several times. It's nice to know if anything happens, you cut your finger or anything, you're feeling bad, you don't think you can drive, whatever, you maybe broke a wrist or broke a finger, it's nice to know that just 200 yards away is help, okay? They've got a helicopter pad. If there's a meltdown out west of here on the road, like similar to Utah the other day, they got a place to bring them, triage them, and then helicopter them to wherever they have to go. But here we are. This is a signature hole. This is what you're looking at. Another thing I did, those rocks right there, that's the property line. I brought those rocks from work. I had that rock, that represents, each one of those lots is about 45 feet. So you got 45 feet that lot, 45 feet the lot you just purchased, and 45 feet for the other lot. So you've got about 135, 140 feet, and I had that at one time. And I looked on the satellite, I dug down and I found the pegs in the ground from the original survey, and I made sure that those rocks were on the property line. And they are. If you look at the satellite picture for the county plat map or the county map, tax map, those rocks were right on the line. And then I replaced them with the plants. I got rid of the rocks because everything had to be graded. You have to understand where that pile is and those Italian cypress are over there. There was a berm that was higher than both patios that went all the way from there over to that bush. That's why we had to do the job right here at this column. That's why we had to do that column job, because the water couldn't get out here. All the water that came off that roof hugged that patio and just sit there. If it was a 2-hour storm every day for 5 days, the water couldn't get out. And like I said, we fixed it. You see a little wet spot there, that's where it concentrates, but we'd be looking at a lake right now instead of a wet spot. Right after the storm, of course, everything eventually absorbs, but the house and the lot are not supposed to hold water. This golf course was designed on paper to take the water from the lots. Any surface water that accumulated on the lots was supposed to flow onto the golf course. They didn't do it that way. But I want to let you know, everything is working with the solar panels. The bill hasn't changed that much. I'm making electricity and storing it. But I gotta tell you, this was done by a golf ball that could have been hit from every one of those tees over there. And there's not a lot of activity today, but day in and day out, golf balls fly in this yard. Day in and day out, because every tee on the 6th hole is in range of my house. My house and my yard are closer to the tee box than the green over there. Today, from right there, they probably got 132, 137 yards shot from that green bucket, that seed bucket right there. Back, they got a back pin, so we'll give them we'll add another 8-10 yards. We got 140 yards shot from back there. You wouldn't think that would be hard, but when you get a brand new person, and I want you to look at the people who are hitting right now. Every one of them is in range of my house. If any one of them has a mental fart or has trouble keeping it in play, I'm it. Okay? And he put that one in the lake. There it is. You see the whirlpool? He'll hit another one. That's another thing about this hole, is even though they paid one greens fee, I have to put up with the risk of one of these guys putting one in my yard, because he's never hit this shot before. Or maybe 1 out of 20 times on the range he's able to perform the shot he's trying to hit right now. Most of the time he's hitting slices and duck hooks and whatever, you know, but he isn't performing the shot. But when he gets out here, he's given permission, and he doesn't realize that he can take out my window. All he sees is the green. All he sees is a green and a perfect shot. He sees in his head a perfect shot, but he doesn't make a perfect shot because he doesn't practice. It's the second time he's ever held a golf club in his life, okay? And you're expecting a guy from there to hit a shot and keep it in play, okay? I can't wait to get out of here. To continue this little tour, I got sidetracked by the golfers, but to continue this little tour, that's the new hotel. Right over there is Watson Road. Right down there, just past that hotel, is Yuma Road. So Watson and Yuma. Watson and Yuma Road. And today, the lake is pretty calm, real calm. Those used to be the models. And I'll start with that one with the tree and the red roof. That bunch of trees with the red roof. That used to be a sales office. and they tore it down because it was wired the way it was wired and plumbed, and it was wired and plumbed as a sales office and not a house. So they tore it down, and they, I think, probably put a bigger house on it. It wasn't that big, and they put a bigger house, but it had a big room, a display room on it that were probably out of whack for living. I remember the first time I walked into it, all the models were on the wall, hanging on the wall. It was really the hype and hoopla. But the house next to it, where the fella is with the dog right now, that house was the design center, and it was also a model. So you walked out of the sales office and you walked down the sidewalk, and these were all models, and there was a couple across the street. That's a cul-de-sac. So all these were models. They started with the smallest one, went to the big one. This model that I'm standing on the roof, this 1,000 square foot model, which is a duplicate except for the facade on the front. The floor plan is exactly the same as this model. I had them both built. They were the cheapest models, the smallest models I could buy. It was the cheapest way to get my hands on this lot. You had to buy a house to have a lot. So that's what I did. I put the cheapest house, and it was at the suggestion of the realtor in the office that I do that. When I said I was interested in these lots and how could I get them, he said you could get them by putting the cheapest house on it. And he said, just change the facade, and that way you'll have the lots, and you didn't spend a lot of money. That didn't go over too well here. There was people that had eyes on these lots. These lots went for a little more than the first lots that were sold here. Nobody wanted to pay the price. Because I was from San Francisco Bay Area, I came out here and I took one look and I said, how many can I buy? Really, how many can I buy at this price? It didn't go over well in small town America. Okay? All right, I'll get off the roof now and we'll go through the house. Okay, this is ground level. I was just up on that patio roof. This is ground level here. That's one of the stacks, goes into a 4-inch pipe, goes out to the property line. But this netting is unprofessional, okay? It's a homegrown, homemade, knuckle-dragging cob job. Okay, I took a couple of 2x2s and a Harbor Freight net. I added a whole bunch of eyelets. I probably doubled or tripled the number of eyelets on that Harbor Freight net. I had to put in 2 pieces of conduit, anchor it up there, and another one anchored here. I've got just these hangers right there, if you can see them. Those hangers strung on a stainless steel wire. I'd like to take them down, recover them. I might be able to use them on the other house over there. I'm sure you're not going to want them because they're homegrown. But they work for me. If you don't mind, after closing or whatever, if I can take them, it would be great. If I'll work with you, if you work with me type thing. Here's another one that I built. This is another net, a homegrown. That's an R2x2s, all jury rigged up there with ropes and stuff. It's unsightly. You might not want it, but it does protect those patio windows. Any one of them windows at any time, any golfer at any time, you have to understand that there's a probability every time a golfer tees up a ball, not the golfer, but the number of balls he tees. Every tee, every ball he tees has a probability of landing in this yard. Do you see where they're hitting from out there? Now, if we're dealing with pros, like you watch on TV, they're going to hit one shot and move on. We're not dealing with pros. This is amateur golf. This is beginner golf. This is novice golf. This is untrained golf. You got people coming up there trying to hit this shot. The first thing they ask is, where's the men's tees? And they say, those are the yellow gold. And they go, I'll play them. Really? You ever hit a golf ball in your life? No. But you're going to go out and play the gold tees and stink up the place all day, breaking windows and walking in people's yard. Because you think that you can come out here to this game, you've taken it for granted. You've done everything else, now you can play golf. But right there, those tee boxes rains golf balls in this yard all day long on a busy day. And the trouble is, these amateur, beginner, mediocre, redneck, knuckle-dragging ape golfers that come here, they got a bag full of balls. It ain't like the old days where you had a lot of balls and everyone in your bag had a smile except the one you were playing. And you're in a tree-lined course up in the mountains of upstate New York or Vermont or anywhere where there's trees, where there's seasonal courses, where the guys are lucky to keep the fairway mowed. Talk about cleaning out all these areas outside of the golf course. Right here, we don't have that. These people they can get up on that longest tee and boom away. They're designated hitters. They're just going to boom. And the only problem is that boomer that's hitting that booming shot from 177 yards away from the pin, which is way over there, is only about 135, 140 yards from me. And he's well within the missing range. He's well within the corridor of mistakes that happen routinely in mediocre, beginner, amateur golf. And they're treating this course like there's nothing but PGA players. If you sell 150 rounds here on a Saturday to a bunch of amateur players, office people, people who don't practice, who don't go to the range, they come out and they play once a week. You've got guys hitting 4 balls off each tee. You sold 150 rounds, but I'm in play for 250 shots. There was 100 extra shots that day that I'm in play, okay? These are foul balls. These aren't accidents, these are foul balls. That's because the baseline is too close to the stands, all right? This golf course thinks they have a right to use my yard as out of bounds, okay? Now, I got off on a tangent again. So, we'll stop here and I'll go inside. But you got this. I was working that when I put these stacks in, okay? These right here, I did this work. I did it, okay? I put in the box, I ran the wire, I ran the refrigerant lines. This is a replacement. The first one, either I ruined or it came apart on me. This one here has got the second motherboard. I changed the motherboard in that because when it first came. So I kept that running and I service it myself. I have the equipment to service it. And this one, the original one conked out. Probably because I serviced it wrong or I didn't know what I was doing or whatever. But this is a brand new replacement. I bought another one. The guy told me, he says, why don't you just buy another one? He goes, I'll give you one that matches your inside. He did, and it's working flawlessly. Now, like I said, this net right here, if you can see, that's why I have the net there. But you, as trying to market this, will probably want to get a professional outfit in here and put a screen in similar to my neighbor's. That's a professionally installed screen right there. You'll probably want to do that. That's what I would do. And if you don't mind, I'd like to take these down and salvage them. Keep them for myself at a later date and a later time, if you don't mind. Okay, we're going to go inside the house. Okay, instead of sending you pictures, I figured I'd send you a video of the cabinets. Okay, these, I think they were the cherry or the maple. They're maple wood with a cherry color, something like that. And I'll tell you right now, this microwave, I put it in years ago, but it's cracked right in that corner. See that crack? I slam stuff. I'm not easy, and I'm in a hurry or whatever. I slammed it and cracked the door, but that's 15 years old. The stove has got another thing. I was hard on it, and I dinged that stove right there. The counter, you're going to have to exclude the color, but this was the builder special. Okay, these countertops, when I came in, I had a very dear friend advising me when I was in ordering stuff for the house. When it came to pick all the interior stuff for the house after they framed it in the design center, I was very fortunate to have somebody with me that had been living in the Arizona area for about 20 years, 25 years. And the first thing she said was, take the builder special on everything. Just take the builder special on everything. And I did. All right, I didn't get crazy with granite and all that stuff. I had 3 houses. I was trying to buy 3 houses. I had to keep them as economically as possible so I could get all 3 taken care of. Now, like I showed you the mirror and the sconces, that's all wired. I did that wiring. I did this mirror. I raised that mirror by myself. Nobody helping me. What I did is I anchored a bunch of these ratchet straps up there on the ceiling, and I pulled this all up at once. I had about 5 or 6 straps, and I'd pull it up 1 strap at a time a little bit and then go back until I finally got it hung level at the height I wanted, and then I bolted it down. But that's the mirror, and then you can have that TV. All the work I did to get the cable to it. This is the pantry right here. It's going to need painting and cleaning. But the one thing the lady did help me with, the first thing the lady helped me with is she told me, do not get carpet. If you do anything, make sure that you get tiled floors throughout. That's what I did. And I didn't spend a lot of money on plantation shutters. That's another thing. These are like Home Depot or Lowe's blinds. Those are room darkening shades I put in because in the morning in the summer it can dump so much light and heat into this room. That's the indoor mini split. The tile floor, you may inherit this futon if I can't get rid of it. I still got these boxes and little knick-knack things to go out. These posters, I got to find a place for them. And again, there's the second bathroom, tile floor, same cabinetry. Simple house. I'll pull this thing back. Simple house. Okay? Nothing to it. 1,000 square feet. It's almost self-sufficient. Like I said, if you find a buyer who lives alone, by themselves, a widow, a widower, a divorcee, a single person, they're going to love this house because it's a little cave. It's an outside, it's a cabin, and it's an outside cabin. I always call my house an outside cabin because I'm on the golf course and on the lake, and it's so small. It's like a small cabin. Now, here's the laundry room. I showed you before, but the tile, the one thing that, and it was funny, the lady in the design center, I had an appointment. She had me penciled in from about 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. She thought it was going to take me 4 hours to pick stuff for the house. And I was out of there in 45 minutes, and most of the time was her input in my decisions. First of all, she brought out all the carpet samples, and we were going to start with the carpet, and I said tile. So she had all these tile samples. I went over, I picked one that looked like a desert color, and I said, this one. She goes, are you sure? I go, yeah. Why not? It's a desert color. Where can I go wrong? So she wrote it down. Now I had to pick this. I had to pick that. I picked it in quick, like the countertop for mica. I had it picked in like 2 minutes. The cabinet color, 2 minutes. And when she was done, I think I was out of there within an hour. She couldn't believe it. And she admitted to me that some people come in and agonize for hours over which color cabinet to get, which tile, which countertop. I didn't do that. I had a golf game to go to. And I think they looked down on me for being so quick about it. Like, you don't care. You're just speculating. You don't even care whether you're doing it right or wrong. This is the master bath. Same cabinets. Master closet. The door to get in the attic. The only one you got to go through here. But this is what I'm leaving you. Okay, there's the other indoor unit you saw. But I'm hoping you give me some latitude to get some of the stuff that you don't want out of here. While you're coming in to fix things, I'm going to be finishing up. Because I was in limbo. When I got that email from Dylan Torres last Friday, everything came to a screeching halt. I would have had this done by now. And we would have been closed if that HOA letter popped up with the $28. That's when I stopped. So I'm asking for a little latitude once this place closes, that you give me some time to get this stuff out. All right. Plus, I've been moving in the hottest part of the year. But I'm going to go close. I'm going to go process this film. It'll probably take me about an hour and a half to process it and get it to you. But that's what you bought. Okay. And this is the neighborhood. Let's go out in the garage. I guess I better do the garage before we end. All right. I'll open the garage door. This bench is staying. I'd like to have time to get the vise out if I need it. I'd like to have time to get the compressor out if you don't need it. If you want to keep it, all right. I'd like to have that vise. I'm going to have that. The saw has to go. But when you're coming in, I'm going to still be moving out. Okay? We closed early to get it closed. Now, give me some latitude to get all this stuff out of here as you're moving in. As soon as the money hits the bank, as soon as I know the money hits the bank and we're closed and everything went and the money is in my account, I'm going to be beating feet over here to get everything out of here before you show up for the key ceremony. Okay, to hand over the keys. And if I'm a little tardy and I don't make it all, please give me some latitude, because we are talking about selling the next house. Okay? But a lot of this stuff, no problem, I can get it out of here quickly. Like I said, as soon as the money hits the bank, this will be done. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go process this now. Okay, this is the 6th of August, and the crew is here painting the cupboards. They've taken all the doors, all the cabinet doors off, I guess in the bathroom and everywhere. There's their truck. They're working out of the truck. The compressor's there, their paint. Looks like he's recharging the paint for them. And they have more laid out here. These are all the doors. Used to be maple cherry doors. Now the whole entire side of the house is going to be white. And these guys are professionals. They got this all laid out. Got their ladders, got it all set up. They primed them last night. But all the hardware, they took all the hardware off. Incredible. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to walk around the other side of the house and show you, if I can peek in the kitchen and show you what they did in there. You're doing a great job, dude.
Thank you.
Doing a good job. It looked good, man.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, tell you, they've got the kitchen counters out. Kitchen counters are out. They took them out yesterday. They're going to put down granite. Now, here's inside the house. Doing a great job. Doing a great job. They're going to have all new granite countertops going in here. Quite a difference. Quite a difference. They're doing the bathrooms too, all the bathrooms. They've got the shower doors off. They're painting the inside. Simple job. But one thing, this is a small house. One thing, a beautiful thing about this is a small house. I'll put this outside in the bottle. Well, they're going to town, doing a great job. They're a great job. You know that when it goes to put the dishwasher back in, okay, you got to be careful of this. Don't drop that. That runs that, okay. When you put the dishwasher, it leaks. I told your boss, I told the guy the other day that the dishwasher leaks.
Okay.
So don't waste your time putting it back in. You can call the guy up and says, you know, why am I wasting my time putting it back in if it leaks? He told you about it. All right? No problem? Good job. Thank you for letting me take a video.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would, everything's selling in a heartbeat. If you don't put a high price on it, it'll sell in one day and that'll be it. Where if you put a good sized price on it, let some Californians see this place. Let some people from, those people never get to see this, ever. If you put a high price on it and you, like a listing for that, I'm going to just take a movie in here of the countertop. They did such a good job with it. Okay. Are you going to put a new one in, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave this in the
We're going to do it in the garage.
in the garage for the people to have.
Oh, and you put a new countertop in here. I got to get a picture of this too. I got a. You really did a good job on this kitchen now.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. And you did it so quick.
We don't mess around.
I know.
That's beautiful.
But please, put about put about a 450,000 price tag on this.
And then this is the map.
I guarantee you it'll sell for that price if you advertise it out of this market. Isn't that nice? Isn't they do a good job? I'm looking forward to them to do it on that one.
Well, that's the goal, to do the same thing.
Well, I want to see what you sell this one for. But I guarantee you, if you list this thing high, within a month it'll sell. Everything here, hon, is sold in one day. One day it sells. How
You like it?
Very much, yeah. This is my favorite color.
Yeah?
This is how my bedroom always is.